may have pain, but we are beautiful energy. We got a gift, we got love, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Every new no creates a beautiful memory. Time and space fall away like leaves. We may have pain, but we are beautiful energy. We got a gift, we got love, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Every new no creates a beautiful memory. Time and space fall away like leaves. We may have pain, but we are beautiful energy. We got a gift, we got love, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Buenas noches, bienvenidos todos, todes, todas. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to be in community with you, and really happy to have this opportunity to come together to be with Saundra Davis again. Saundra has been, in community with us, providing financial education, financial health, good financial habits, and just a lot of really fantastic support for this very important part of our lives, which is managing with our own resources and making sure that we have the resources we need throughout our lives. And in particular, when we retire, which, it will be amazing. I'm very happy to have this conversation. So I'm Via Vieta. My pronouns are she, her, and ella. I am the incoming CEO for the Women's Foundation California. I'm very excited for this opportunity. And I am in Oakland, in Ohlone land. So thank you for joining us. And it's my privilege to introduce Saundra again, for those of you who have been with us through this journey, or if you're just joining us for the first time. It's just been such an amazing experience to be doing this work with Saundra, who can really take us in a journey to understand finance, financial habits, how to make sure that we are in good, strong places without using a lot of jargon and without losing us in the process. So I really appreciate that. I also appreciate, Saundra, your great sense of humor and energy. So thank you very much. I want to share with you and with everybody that Saundra, of course, is a highly respected financial planner and educator and coach. She has over 20 years of experience, and she is the founder and executive director of Sage Financial Solutions, which is the hat that she's wearing and using today, as a nonprofit organization that provides financial education and coaching and training. She also believes in teaching and training and spreading the work. So she has trained over 2,000 professionals and has really helped so many people develop healthy financial habits, navigate complex financial decisions, and achieve their financial goals. So I'm going to pass it to you, Saundra, and thank you so much.
Thank you. And congratulations on being the new ED. I'm so thrilled for you. Having worked with you for so long, I know that the organization is really going to continue to grow and thrive. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. Bear with me as I get my alignment as I would like it to be. thank you all for being here. This is always an exciting time for me because anytime I can hang out with the wonderful people at the Women's Foundation, I know that, it's going to be a good time. And then when you all show up and we all behave badly together, I just really love it. It makes me so excited that we can disrupt the status quo. We can disrupt the things that do not serve us. And so that makes me really happy. You already know who I am and what I do. This kind of overview slide just talks about the different ways of being that I have in the world. I'm primarily a coach, right? And so I've been self-employed for a long time, and many of my retirement decisions have been a direct result of not having anyone do anything for me. And then when I did have someone doing things for me, when I worked for the military and when I was in the military, I did not have the knowledge or even the desire at that young stage of my life to make good decisions with money. I just didn't have it. I didn't have it. So here I am, so we're on this journey together. I'm preparing just as you all are. I'm doing many of the same things for myself that I'm asking you to do for you. I do it from a place of mindfulness. And I say that because I want us first, before we go into this conversation, I want us first to just take a moment and notice what's happening with our breath. You can place your hand on your chest or on your belly, whatever serves you, and just feel your breath going in and out. Our body knows how to breathe. It doesn't need us to do anything. It knows how to do its job. And sometimes we might find ourselves getting tense and holding our breath. And so if you notice that you're holding your breath, just take a nice deep breath, bringing your shoulders up and then letting them fall and just melt toward the floor. Anytime you notice anything in your body that does not feel good, if the topics that we discuss start to make you feel tense, if the situation you find yourself in has you worried for whatever reason, just take a moment. Jay and I are fortunate to be in a group of folks all over the country, actually, who have a Qigong practice. And one of the things that I was doing earlier today, I was feeling very stressed. I just took on a new gig. Partially, I'll tell you a little bit more about this in a minute. In part, I took on this gig to help me save more for retirement. But there's a practice called wash, face, comb hair. And you put your fingers, I don't know if you can see my fingers, but you put your fingers down here and you go over and around. And then first you shake off the bad stuff, right? First you shake, right? So there's three of them, right? You go up and over, you take your hands across like that, and then you shake off number 2. And then you come in and then we shake off number 3. And then after that, we do 7 more. We're only going to do 2, but we do 7 more where you bring in the good chi, the good energy. Right, and just bring that in. We're just gonna do 1. Well, we'll do 3. We'll make sure we have 3 and 3, so we balance it out. I am a Libra after all. Right, let's do 1 more. Just coming around and just bringing in that good, peaceful, quiet, soul-searching energy. And the reason this is so important is that some of these topics can be very challenging, right? Some of them are challenging because we didn't know. Some of them are challenging because we judge ourselves because we didn't do what we knew to do. Some of them we just flat out didn't have access. Last time we were together, we talked about where are you now? We talked about this concept of the 3-legged stool, and we spent our time talking about what the government does for you, which is mostly focused around Social Security, right? Tonight, we're going to talk about where are you going and how do you start to shape what do you want your number to be? And Missouri was talking earlier about some feedback that she got that, it was helpful to hear that retirement, or whatever we call it, right? Some of us call it work optional, that it doesn't look the same for everyone. There are some people who have created a life that they don't desire to retire from. That's certainly the case with me. I wasn't going to have enough money, so I had to create a life that I didn't have to retire from. So that's what I've done. Because frankly, I wasn't going to have enough money. Now, I did take a job. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I did take a job in part because I was really committed to the mission of the job, and in part because it's beneficial for me at this age and stage to do that. The next time we're together, a week from tonight, we're going to talk about the action plan. So last time we were together, I offered you some ideas of what you could do to take some action. I'd like to hear from you, those of you who were with us last week or who watched the recording. What is one thing that really stood out to you from our last conversation? What stood out to you from our last conversation? Go ahead and type it in the chat for me. What was there that you remember or that you really took to heart? As you're typing for me, I'll go over. Thank you, Allie. That's nice. That was the main point of the Social Security conversation, to be honest. I find so many people who don't bother to apply because they just think it's not going to be there, right? And so to Renee's point here, everyone is different and you get to decide what your plan should look like. So tonight we're going to look at a couple of lingering questions, some things that didn't get answered. I'm not going to go too far down the Social Security road because then we'll end up slammed at the end like last week, and we don't want that. I really want to make sure that I cover everything that I want to cover tonight. Then we're going to look at investing, and I had planned to do this last week, but I really want you all to see my actual retirement account. My breathing bell always knows when I need to breathe. I want you to see, it's not my only one, full disclosure, it's not my only one, but it's the one that I started in 2016 when I really just faced it, I really just faced it. So that was a big piece for me. And we're going to talk about what your employer does for you. And again, most of our conversation is about the higher level, but then going deep for you individually. So some of these things, we're going to invite you to go back and look at past videos that talk about the different investment types, understanding the difference between a 401k, a SEP IRA, and a Roth, and those kinds of things. We don't want to spend a lot of time on that here because what we're looking for here is what do you do for you, right? What's available to you out there in your ecosystem, right? And then what do you do about what you learn, what's available to you? So a couple of questions that we had that I want to make sure that we don't ignore, that we either had in my stressful moment of realizing I had more slides than time. Social Security can be subject to taxation if you continue working after you're receiving benefits. Now, the taxation will depend on your combined income, right? And it's calculated by all of your taxable and non-taxable interest, plus half of your Social Security benefits. If you are retiring and drawing Social Security at your full retirement age and you continue to work, it will not be subject to the earnings limit, which means you can earn as much money as you want without any reduction in your benefits. That said, if your overall income reaches a certain level, then those levels change. Your income may be subject to taxation. That's federal tax. Now, state tax, there's certain states that don't tax Social Security at all, and then there are some states that do. So you're going to want to make sure that you're paying attention to what state you're in, and then talk to, I'm a big fan of VITA. I think you all know that, the Volunteer Income Tax Assistance. I'm a big fan of getting answers from them and participating with them. There was another question that I think Martha did an amazing job of responding, but I just want to reinforce what she said. If you were married for at least 10 years and you are now divorced, you may be eligible for the benefits based on your ex-spouse's record, even if they have remarried, but not if you have remarried, right? If they remarried, that's not your problem, right? If you remarried, then that will have an impact. So the document that, go ahead, Missouri, hit that Social Security one, that link in Social Security. That handout is plain English, easy to understand, and has most of the answers that you're going to want to find out about. What I'll also say is, we didn't talk about this last week, but Social Security benefits are also adjusted for inflation, right? And that'll become even more important as we're talking later on tonight. But we just want to make sure that you're, number one, let them tell you what your benefits are. Don't try to figure it out on your own. You can go on the website and use their calculations, but they'll do the same thing that I'm telling you to do. Go ahead and get your account with them, get your Social Security web-based account with them, and then you'll be able to see your benefits. You'll be able to get your annual document from them. If you are not getting a document in the mail, and it usually doesn't happen until you're 60, you can go online and find out that way. So it doesn't matter how young you are. You can go in, set up your account on Social Security, and get the information that you need. We received a couple of questions that I think that maybe we didn't get to answer. And one of them was, do you have to sign up for Medicare? Once you turn 60, you do sign up. You're not automatically signed up. If you're already receiving Social Security, you're automatically signed up. But if you are not, you have to sign up on your own. And they suggest you do it about 3 months before you turn 65. So that's the wisdom, is to do it about 3 months before. There was a question as to whether or not your Social Security starts your birth month. It starts when you hit that age, right? So I'll turn 67 and a half, 67 in October 17th of 2027, right? So I'll contact them about 3 months in advance, make sure that I have everything that I need to have. You don't want to wait until you're eligible. You also might, thank you, Missouri, it also might matter to you of what month you start receiving your benefits. So go to that website, go to ssa.gov. The website, while it is pretty straightforward, it's just a lot of information. That's why I like that handout that Missouri put up earlier, that PDF. Make sure, Nina's going to send it to you after, but if you want to, go ahead and link to it, check it out later. Don't y'all be sitting there reading the thing while we're talking, not tonight. Now go read that after, but that will help you as well navigate that. All right, so what your employer does for you is where we're going to start tonight. And again, the main thing that I want to do here is this high-level conversation where you're thinking about what is the three-legged stool and what does it mean to you. I know that, for instance, I told you all last week, my mother's Social Security was about $700 a month. Now, those of you who know anything about Northern California, you know a sister couldn't live on $700 a month. And so she also applied for Social Security Supplemental, SSI, which is for very low income people. So don't assume that things are not available to you that might be. So the first thing I'll say is apply for everything that is available to you. Everything that's available to you. And then there's what your employer does, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And then there's what you do for yourself, and we're going to talk about that next week. So when we look at employee benefits, when you become an employee, they generally hand you a packet that says, fill this out, right? And you may or may not be able to make sense of much of the stuff that's there. So, you know, this is where if you have an HR department, you really do want to have a conversation with them. Don't just take the paperwork and walk away. Do know that HR in general is not going to give you any investment advice, right? Even if you're working with an organization that offers a 401k or a 403b, which is the nonprofit version of that, they're generally not going to give you advice on what to choose. They are going to tell you how to fill out the form, but when it comes to you deciding what your choices are, you're pretty much going to be on your own. So one of the things that we're going to be doing between tonight and next week is, how do you decide? What choices do you make when you're faced with that situation? Either because you've got an employer sponsored plan, right? Or because you are doing it on your own. Now, there's a couple of benefits with participating in an employer sponsored contribution, right? So that first one you see there, those are contribution plans, right? That's different than a pension. Now, there used to be a lot of companies that offered pensions, right? That it was part of your benefits package, and you knew how much you were going to get when you retired. It didn't require you to contribute to the plan. The pension was paid out to you when you retire, or your beneficiaries if and when you pass away. Now, a contribution plan is what you often hear called a matching, right? Where your company says, okay, we will match up to 3% of your contributions. So what they're saying is, if you contribute $100 a pay period, they're going to match 3% of that. They're not going to match dollar for dollar everything that you do. They're going to do a percentage of what you do. That's why, you know, this three-legged stool really kind of comes into play, because to Anna's question, the purpose of the Social Security tax is we're paying into Social Security. Right? So we're part of all levels of this three-legged stool. We're contributing to Social Security, right? We are contributing to our retirement savings program with our employer, right? And we're doing things on our own. So, you know, as I mentioned last week, a lot of times this feels more like a bar stool. So Anna, that Social Security tax is the portion that we pay, and our employer pays a portion as well. So that's what goes into our portion of the pool that is the Social Security fund. Now, it's not a savings account, right? So I don't want to go too far down that road, but I just do want to be clear. Our Social Security contribution is not money that's sitting there waiting for us to retire. That money is being used for the people who are retired today. Right. So I told the story last week about, you know, going to my Tai Chi class and them saying, you know, you need to go back to work. We need our Social Security. So I'm working and I'm paying into this system so that the people who are retired now are able to do that. So, and then when we talk about, so let me pause for a minute. So when we think about employee benefits, you'll notice retirement savings programs where you're contributing, pensions where your employer says, this is our pension plan, we're going to contribute this much pay period, and this will be available to you when you retire. Some employers have profit sharing or stock options. That's very popular in the tech field. Stock options, like your salary might be low, and then they offset it with options for stock. Now those stock options come with implications. How long, if you were to leave the employer, how long do you have to hold them before you sell them? One thing that's really important about people who are paid in stock options, sometimes you'll hear people say, oh, well, I'm paid in equity. That's what they mean when they say that. They're receiving equity in the business. Now, if the business booms, great. If the business does not boom, right? That's really one of the challenging aspects of this. So a lot of people get excited about stock options, and I'm not saying that they can't be a wonderful thing. Sometimes they are great, and sometimes they are not. So be cautious when you're negotiating for your package, your compensation package, and someone wants to lean heavily on the stock options and not pay you, you know, maybe what you're worth for your actual work that you're doing day to day, because that can harm you if the company doesn't blow up. Now, if it does blow up and your stock options are great, that can be fine, but you do want to make sure that you're not selling yourself short in the long run, or quite frankly, even more importantly, in the short run, where you're not making the amount that you need to make. And let me give you an example. I am a co-founder in an app that is kind of similar to BetterUp, right? It's like the financial coaching and therapy solution to BetterUp. And you know, I'm mostly putting in sweat equity. I'm mostly doing work to make it happen. If it gets sold, if it does really well, it could be beneficial to me. If it doesn't, since I'm not contributing financial resources, it will have cost me my time, which, as you know, you can make more money, but you can't make more time. But you want to make sure that you fully understand any situation that you put yourself in like that. I'm real clear that I may end up doing a whole bunch of work and then not turning into anything at all, right? So you just want to make sure that if you're finding yourself with that type of opportunity, that you're being realistic with yourself about what it can mean. Your employer is probably also including some type of medical, hopefully. If they are not, you're likely having to do that for yourself. When you start to approach retirement, medical is one of the things you're going to want to think about. Now, if you wait until you're 65 to retire, Medicare will be available to you if you're very low income. Here in California, we have what's called Medi-Cal. So it's just the California version of Medicare. But if your employer provides a flexible savings account or a health savings account that helps you pay your high deductible, pay for your high deductible insurance, if you're no longer employed, you want to make sure that you're considering all of those factors in your expenses. A lot of times what hurts people the most is that they might save enough for their living expenses, but they don't have adequate medical support or medical insurance to pay for that. And sometimes, I don't know if any of you have ever had to be on COBRA, but what COBRA is when you leave your employer, either laid off or you quit, and you have access to your employer sponsored plan, but you have to pay your own premium. My premium was $600 a month, and that was like 25 years ago. So I'd be afraid of how much it would be today. So exactly, Martha. So you just really want to understand what your employee benefits are right now. What are the things that are invisible to you? What are the things? Do you have a life insurance policy through your employer that will not go with you once you retire or if you leave? You want to look at all of that as you're doing the calculations that we're going to talk about a little bit later. So the main thing that I want you to hear, yeah, Lisa. So the main thing that I want you to take away from this is that when you're thinking about your employee benefits, if you are employed by a company or a nonprofit, what is everything that has a cost associated that your employer is providing, whether you're happy with it or not? That's not the point, right? What are they providing, and what would be the cost to you if they were not providing it, right? You can, but I think you can apply to the Affordable Care Act. To be perfectly frank, I'm not as knowledgeable about the Affordable Care Act and how that is going for most people. What we can do is get some answers for that for next week, but I don't want to speak to that because I don't really know how that's playing out for people. To be honest, I hear stories on both sides. I wouldn't have coverage if not for ACA. My ACA coverage is so high that I might as well not have it. I hear both sides. Right. And so I would want you to make sure, Lysandra, lovely name, by the way. I want you to make sure, Lysandra, that you are really clear about what's available to you. So I would say go to the ACA website, right, and put in all of the information that they request so that you can see what's available to you. And this might not be a factor for you. Use it 200 minutes. Yeah. So you're on Medi-Cal, Renee. So yeah. So what Renee is talking about is it was $200 a month, and that was ACA, right? The ACA, Renee, am I saying that correctly? The Affordable Care Act was ACA for you? I mean, the $200. But being self-employed, sometimes if we are very low income, I mean, and I never know 1 month to the next what my income is going to be, but I'm a veteran. So if you are a veteran, and you are eligible for veteran benefits, I'll tell you, I did not do it until I was like in my 40s. I got out of the Navy at 25 years old. It was another 15 years before I went down there and applied for my benefits. It was emotional. It was not a great idea that I did it that way, but that's what happened. So I would just say, apply for everything that you're eligible for. If you think maybe you're not, let them tell you you're not. Don't opt out on your own. You let them tell you that you're not. So I'm going to pause here for a moment. Tell me so far, what's your takeaway for the employer part of that three-legged stool? What is the takeaway? Type or talk, you get to choose. Y'all gonna give me something here? All right, I'm gonna keep moving. Okay, there's the typing. That's what I was looking for. Medical is the big ticket. Saundra, I'll tell you, most of the people who I talk to, the medical is the hardest part, even if they feel completely ready for retirement as far as their financial situation. Medical is the thing that that makes it hard for them, right? That medical's the thing. Create a Google Sheet to track. Absolutely, Brianna, that's brilliant. That's a great idea. Now, even Martha, even if you have so that HDHP is a high deductible health plan, and you can open your own HSA. Now, the nice part about this, you can do it even if you're self-employed, to Martha's point. So, for instance, I have a flexible spending account, and all of my medical expenses that are outside of my VA, right, that I have to pay for, literally, I do check my blood sugar. So my blood sugar strip, the strips that I use for that, I have a CPAP machine. If I have to buy, I got a lot of health stuff happening, don't I, y'all? I have a CPAP machine. Any supplies that I have to pay for that, it comes through that. And actually, as much as I hate to admit my Amazon problem, Amazon has a whole section on FSA eligible items, so that you can make sure and buy things with tax advantage. So what you're doing is you're buying with pre-tax dollars. And the lovely thing about buying with pre-tax dollars is that, every little bit helps, not only now, but even in retirement. So the more you can take care of some of your expenses with pre-tax dollars, the more of your money is going to be in your pocket that's eligible for saving. All right, I'm loving this. Yeah. Great job, you all. Great job. Yeah, so thank you, Lucinda. So a lot of people, and what Lucinda's talking about here is that when you have a match, when you have an option for a match, and you leave that on the table or don't take that free money, that means that you're either not contributing at all. And I want to say this, I want to say, your time with me will always be a no shame zone, right? So if you are not participating in an employer-sponsored plan that has a match, while I want you to, I also recognize that there may not be enough free cash flow in your budget to do so, right? That's number one. That said, it is worth it to try to make your expenses defend themselves to the point that any amount of money that you can migrate to a matching account, you will be taking care of future you. You'll be doing two things. You'll be reducing your tax burden, right? Keeping more money in your pocket, and you'll be taking care of your future self. So now, Lucinda's point here is that and the Secure Act is one of these things, right? That the government and many nonprofits, quite frankly, believe that having a system that you have to opt out of rather than opt in is better for you. I feel a couple of ways about that. Do I think it's better for you financially? Absolutely. I do think it can be stressful if you don't realize that you're opted in and you're expecting X number of dollars in your paycheck and it's short. And yes, it's still sitting there for you. It is in your retirement account. But, if you got to keep that electric bill on and it's harmful to that, it can be challenging. So I would say if you are automatically opted in by your employer, Cal Savers is like that. If you're part of, if your employer is a Cal Savers organization, that is one of those opt out where you're automatically in and you have to choose to opt out. Sometimes you can even get your money back, but sometimes it takes maybe up to 3 months to get your money back. I would say be proactive. All of the time that you all are spending with me right now, one of the things that I'm asking you to do is be proactive. So look at your budget, look at your financial situation as it is right now. If there's any area that you can reduce your spending, reduce your expenses so that you can try to make that match. If it's 3%, 6%, if you can't get it all, at least get some of it. Get as much of it as you can. It will benefit you in not only now, but in the future. Okay, how do you find out if you had an account with a previous employer? So yes, you can start there. In general, though, Renee, you should be getting statements from the previous employer. And what you can do is you can roll it into a new account. Most of the time, you can leave it where it is and just keep it. I have an account at Pax World that has been there since 1996. I can't contribute to it. I just don't mess with it, but I keep my statements, right? And so you just want to make sure that if you still have contact with that previous employer, or you can find out from HR, Human Resources, do that. But then you're going to want to go to your custodian. The word is custodian. For instance, I work at Golden Gate University now. My custodian at Golden Gate is Transamerica. And so I have to go to the Transamerica website in order to find out everything that I need to do about my account with them. And so those are some of the things that you can do. Can use a free payroll calculator. Exactly, Lisa, thank you. Contributed to employee a few years ago. So you find out about it. Now rolling it, okay, hold on, I'm getting ahead of myself. So on a rolling into a Roth has tax implications, right? You can roll it if you want to, but just remember, all right, let's think about it this way. Y'all know the government is referred to as Uncle Sam, right? How many of y'all know that? Raise your hand in the air, wave them like you just don't care. All right, so we know that your uncle, y'all's uncle, is going to get paid. Y'all's uncle is going to get paid on the way in or on the way out. So your uncle is going to get paid when you're contributing to an account and you want it to be tax advantage, which means your uncle takes his money on the way out when you start taking distributions. That is tax deferred, right? So you put your money in your 401k or 403b, it reduces your tax liability right now. When you take that money out at 62, 65, 67, whatever, when you take it out, you're taxed on the withdrawals. Now, not all at once as you withdraw it. Now, the thinking behind that is that you're going to be in a lower tax bracket at that stage of life. So that's the point. That's the philosophy there. Now, for those of us who keep working, that may or may not be true. So you can't make any assumptions without looking at your particular situation. Now, with a Roth, you're putting that money in with after-tax dollars, which means all of the growth that happens while you're investing, when you start to take that money out, you have already paid your taxes. So the growth, you are not taxed on that. You're not taxed on those gains. So the benefit of having both an IRA, a 403b, a 401k is that it's tax advantaged now. The benefit of having a Roth is you pay your taxes now, and later when you take your money out, you're withdrawing your money. People say tax-free, but it's not that it's tax-free, it's that you've already paid it, right? So I have both. Now, you'll want to make sure, that's the breathing bell again. Y'all can feel free to join me. When you see me stop like that, that's because my breathing bell, I don't think you all can hear it because Zoom now has these wonderful things to stop outside noise. But when you see me stop to breathe, feel free to join me.
I have a question.
Please.
So it kind of coming back to my comment in the chat, if you change employers that have a sponsored retirement account, what would be your advice? Because for me, I'm like, I would imagine I'm already having a hard time tracking all the different accounts. What's your advice to either combine it or keep track of all the different accounts? So when I'm there ready to retire in, I don't know, 40 years from now or whatever, how would I remember all of this?
Wonderful question, Anna. The first thing is, what I would like for all of you to do is literally create a spreadsheet for yourself. You don't, I mean, there are apps and things that will do this for you, but honestly, I just prefer to get a spreadsheet. And actually, I'll give you, I'm glad you asked this question. I'll give you all a link to one from Vertex 42. If y'all have been with me before, you know I love Vertex 42. But having a spreadsheet that is all of your financials and has a different tab for each thing, right? Your cash flow, all of your accounts, your beneficiary designations, all of this stuff in one place so that you don't lose track of it. And more importantly, you know, Anna, one day we all going to get up out of here and we're going to leave behind a bunch of stuff. They used to call it the mailman accounts because male people back in the old, before they were male women, right? When it was only male men, they would have all of these different bank accounts along their route. And then when they would die, their family maybe knew about the main account, but they didn't know they had like accounts banks all over. So if you're anything like me, you've done something similar. I have multiple bank accounts. I have multiple retirement accounts. I put them all on one spreadsheet. To be honest, I really don't try to keep track of the amounts in them. I update it once a year so that I know where I am. I should do it once a quarter, but girl, ain't nobody got time. You know, ain't nobody got time. So doing that spreadsheet where all, right, Rosita? So doing a spreadsheet that has all of the important topics. So those topics, if you go back to the recording that we did, God, I think 2 years ago, we did one on the money management basics, right? And the money management basics talks about all of the 6 steps, all of the areas of financial planning. Attitude and beliefs, right? Setting your goals, right? Cash flow management. Some people call it budget, spending plan, call it what you want, knowing where your money is going. The bottom line is, do you know what your dollars are doing? Right? That's the bottom line. You can call it, get any kind of name you want, but that's really the bottom line. What's coming in and what's going out. And then your insurance. How do you protect what you have? What are your insurance policies? What do they cover? When do they expire? When do you have to renew them? When you move, buy a house, when you have a baby, when you get married or divorced or any of those things. Changing things there so that you always know what situation you're in, right? And then your investment. So we want to look at knowing our cash flow, knowing what risk we have, knowing where our money is, all of the accounts, the account numbers. It's helpful to know that the main thing is to know how do you contact them, whether it's website, phone number, make sure you have that, right? And how the account is held. To be honest, in 96, when I left the organization that I had the Pax World account, I wasn't even paying attention. There wasn't that much money in it. I look at it now, that stuff is like 10,000. I've got like $10,000, $15,000 in that account now because it's just been growing. I haven't added any more to it. Just what I did then, it kept growing. So to Martha's point, you can roll it into a 403B if you're at a nonprofit, right? You can roll it into a 401k if you're at a for-profit, or you can, if you're self-employed, you can roll it into an IRA. People think it stands for individual retirement account, but it stands for individual retirement arrangement. And so you can do your own account if you're not working for anyone else. So yes, you can roll it over. And one of the things we'll talk about next week when Patrick is here with us, he's my favorite investment guru. When Patrick is here, you just want to watch for fees. That's the problem. Fees are the problem. So before you just roll over, You want to make sure that you understand the new account. And Patrick's the one that's going to help us with that next week. I think I answered your question. If I didn't, let me know. So can't you roll tax deferred into another tax deferred? Yeah, so that's what Martha was answering. So yes, it is best to keep apples and oranges separate, Susan, right? Because you can roll, you can convert to a Roth, but I would want you all to talk to a financial planner about your specific situation before you do any kind of Roth conversions. You can do them, but you just want to make sure that you're paying attention to the impact that it has, okay? And that's not something we can answer here because it's just too specific. All right, y'all, I need to keep moving before I get in trouble on time again. All right, so how do we find our number? First of all, there is a lovely book called The Number. Get it from the library, don't spend any money. What I love about that book is it talks about us as human beings, not about just the numbers, right? I'm encouraging you. Is my font too small, Jay? I'm sorry. I'm going to read this stuff. I know, girl. I was trying to get it all on one slide. Okay, I'll do better next time, I promise. There's a book that's called The Number, and they frankly talk about everything but the number, right? But that's the reason I want you to look at it. Get it from the library, go to Libby or Overdrive or walk into your library to get the book. This 12 steps, understand your current income, look at your retirement needs. I'm going to show you an example in just a moment, so just stay with me. Look at your retirement needs, your income needs in retirement. So when I say number 2, it says retirement needs, what is your life going to look like? What is your life going to look like, right? So what is your income needs to meet what you want your life to look like? How long do you have between now and retirement? Now that's different than your age, right? How much time? Like I'm 62, I have 13 years. I'm planning to retire, fully retire at 75. So I've got about 13 years, right? My adjusted income considering inflation. There's my current income and there's what my income needs will be when I'm 75, right? And then other income sources. I have a VA disability. I have some savings of my own. There are a couple of other income streams. Hopefully this app will blow up and then we'll all be good. Y'all come see me then. But so those are the things. And then retirement spending. Now this is where people get tripped up. Conventional financial planning wisdom is that you will need 80% of your pre-retirement income while you're in retirement, 80%. So whatever your income is now, multiply that by 80%, that will give you your number, right? Your target. Now, the problem with that is that some of us want to travel more. Some of us will be taking care of elders. Some of us will have boomerang kids who come back. All kinds of things can happen. So I don't want you to look just at the rule of thumb. I want you to be really honest with yourself about what kind of position that you're going to be in or that you expect to be in when you retire. The older you are, those of you who are closer in age like I am, I kind of already have an idea of what I'm going to need. Those of you who are younger, you want to estimate high. You want to estimate high. And the reason for that is that you just don't know what's going to happen. So number 7, when you see retirement spending, there's a little thing that financial planners say at first is like, go, 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 right? And then there's slow go, right? So that first 20 years, first 10 years, however, so between 65 and 80, those are your go-go years, right? You want to go see your grandchildren, you want to retire, you want to do all the stuff that you've put off for all of your work life. You just want to go do it all. And then, you get to be in your 70s, maybe late 70s, 80s, and you start to slow down a little bit, maybe not doing quite as much. Now, I have a cousin who's turning 90 this year. She just started slowing down 2 years ago. She was traveling the world until like 88. So everybody is different. And then there's the no-go at the end. Like you want to sit at home, you want to chill, you want to relax, right? You want to be in a position of not having to do a whole bunch of stuff. So what are going to be your needs at that point? So retirement spending may increase dramatically in the first 10 to 15 years after you stop working. One thing we say to people is that if you think that you want to buy a home, a different home than where you are, or buy a home if you're renting now, you want to do that before you retire. It is very difficult to get a mortgage when you cannot prove your regular income, right? When you don't have W-2 income, it can be very challenging to get a mortgage. So you want to think about all of those things well in advance, right? And then the target return. Do you want low risk, medium risk, or high risk? And we're going to talk about that in just a minute. Most of us would say, go ahead and you all type for me. I'd like to see as many of the 36 of y'all who are here, type for me. Your instincts would say low, medium, high. You can just do LMH, whichever one in the chat, LM or H, low, medium, or high risk. Okay, keep going, hit me, come on. I know that's not 30 of y'all, keep going. All right. All right. So the important thing about this is that it seems as though most of you understand that low is really best when you're super close to retirement. And that's because you really can't afford to lose the money. Medium is mid-range, right? Anywhere from high 40s into retirement. When you're super young, and super young in my book is early 20s to late 20s and even into the mid 30s, you can afford the dips that the market's going to take. We're going to look at those dips in just a moment. So most of you said medium. It's probably appropriate for most of you. I will say this. I actually have some accounts that I take high risk because I need to. And the reason I need to is that I didn't start early enough and I didn't save often enough. So the bulk of my money is in medium. Some of my money is in low. Enough money to get me through a year is in low, so I don't risk too much. Most of it's in medium, but some of it's in high because I need my money to work as hard as I'm working right now. So I don't want you to just lock in on one thing. I want you to recognize that what you need to do might be really specific to you. And when Patrick is here with us next week, we'll talk about exchange traded funds so that he can kind of walk you through the best way to take that approach. Then number 9 is, do you want to spend your principal or do you want to try to live on interest? Now, spending the principal means all of your contributions will be spent down until you retire. So so when you're dead, you'll also be dead broke, right? You want to try to align being dead and dead broke at the same time, right? Now, if you want to leave something to someone, you don't want that to be the truth, right? You want to have something at the end to leave to whoever it is that you care about, right? Now then so that gets us to number 10, the estate. What do you want to or plan to leave behind? The next thing is our life expectancy. So remember, there was a couple of time elements. Number 4, time until retirement, the time between now and 75, right? For me, my life expectancy, how long after 75 do I think I'll live, right? And so that is my time in retirement. I'm going to shoot for 99 just so that it helps me on the math. Do I think I'll live to 99? I don't even know if I want to live to 99. We'll see. We'll see how much y'all in this country are getting on my nerves by then. I might be too irritable by 99. So we'll see what happens. I don't know, with all the advocacy work that the Women's Foundation is doing, we might be all right. I might want to stick around. So between 75 and 99, that's my life expectancy. So that's part of my math as well. And then number 12 is you calculate your number. And the reason yours is capitalized is because everyone's number is different. So when you're reading those articles about, oh, you need 1 million, you need point, you need this, don't even let that in. Don't even let it in. Don't even let it in. Do your own number. Do your own number. And I'm going to show you what that looks like in just a moment. Let me pause. Questions about this step, these 12 steps, dividends as replacement income. Yes, that, Martha, that's exactly what they're talking about. So if you're not going to spend the principal, you want, and you want to only spend the interest on your investments or the dividends that pay out. So some people choose to buy investments that pay out dividends because that's what they want to live on. The rub is, of course, your investments have to be substantial enough for the payouts to cover you. You know, I was talking with someone who was getting ready to get a windfall, and I was asking her, you know, she said, well, I want to live off the money. Well, her windfall was 80K. There's not, and she's already 60 some years old. There's nothing she would be able to invest in that she could live off the dividends of that. Nothing. So we have to be very realistic about what we're thinking when we say, oh, I want to invest and live off the interest or live off the dividends, right? You're talking about a very substantial investment that has to be in place in order to live off of the dividends or the interest. Any other questions here before we move to what's next? Nothing? Practical steps to determine. Yep, we're going to do that in just a minute, Marisa. All right. The other things that I want you to consider. There's a concept in investments and in financial planning called the time value of money. And what that means is the present value factored in your number, your time into retirement or your time in retirement, the N, the number, adjusted for inflation and all of that, and then the future value. So what is the future value of my income today? I put a little twist on that for our time and our values and our money. And the reason that that's so important is that when you think about what you want your life to look like one of the things that's so difficult for me right now, y'all, is that I live in a condo. I've lived in this condo, and this condo has served me so well. I mean, if you've listened to me talk before, you know, this condo paid for me to go back and get my master's degree. This condo has paid for when I didn't make enough money to live on. I had a home equity line. This condo saved me so many times. And when I think about being 75, I don't want to live here. I don't want somebody living above me. I want my garden attached. Right now, I have to trek up to the community garden to plant my vegetables and stuff. I want a yard. I don't want to retire here. That said, I've got a mortgage that I literally will be able to pay off right now if I stay here. If I go buy a standalone house, chances are I won't be able to. That means I'll retire with a mortgage. That makes me very nervous, very nervous. What if I get sick? What if, you know, my son and my grandkids need something desperately? So I've got to think about what matters most. Is having a garden and not having neighbors important enough for me to put my financial situation in a bit more of a tenuous circumstance? Am I willing to take the risk of a new and higher mortgage at this age and stage? So when I'm talking about the values, I really want you to think about, go ahead, Rena, with your bad self. That's my mortgage. If I keep on going as I'm going, it actually will be done at 70. It may be even before that, but it will definitely be done by 70. If I go buy the house that I want, that will not be the case. So this is a values question. This isn't a right or wrong. It's a values question. So what I'm asking all of you to do is to think about what really matters. What do you want your life to look like? Who's going to be taking care of you when you can no longer take care of yourself? Do you need to be near them? Some people will say things like, oh, well, I'm going to up and a girlfriend of mine, she's thinking about moving to Costa Rica. Great. But none of her family lives in Costa Rica. So when she gets to the point where she can't take care of herself, what is she going to do? And so I'm not judging any of those decisions. I just want to make sure that we're all looking at the full impact, the full impact. You know, I think about retiring to Portugal. I know, right, Lucinda? I'll go take care of her, right? Right. So I think about going to Portugal. I love Portugal, and I could see myself retired there. The problem is my medical is through the VA. So when I'm thinking about Portugal, I'm thinking about, okay, what does retirement for an expat, right? They don't look. When people come here, certain brown people come here, they're called immigrants. But when US people move someplace else, they're called expats, right? So I'll just leave that alone. So just recognizing, Renee, that's the way to do it. You know, finding the ways that will work for you. Finding the ways that will work for you. So what I'm asking you all to do before you start messing with the number, right? Before you mess with the number, first, we're going to put it into words. And this is going to be your homework. Anytime I make a request, you can say yes, no, or counter offer. I'm going to read this because I know the font is small. But I want you to do the words first, right? Some of the numbers you'll know, but even if you just put XXX, where every number is, XXX, until you know. Sorry, hold on. Sorry about that. Okay, putting our number into words. We currently spend $4,000 per month and $48,000 per year. In retirement, we plan on spending $1,500 less than that. So somebody do the math for me. I told you math wasn't good for me. Yes, they will, Brianna. We plan on spending $1,500 yet less than that. So the income needed from our savings is $42,000 per year in today's dollars. If we retire in 30 years, assuming that inflation is 4% on average, not 4% every year, 4% on average, y'all know as well as I do, just 2 years ago, you could get a carton of eggs, right? For some, you can't even put a down payment on a carton of eggs now for what we paid 2 years ago, right? So we know that we're talking about an average of inflation. So if we retire in 30 years, assuming that inflation is 4% on average, we will need $97,302 in future inflation adjusted income per year. So take a look at that. From 42,000 to 97,000. Somebody in the questions, the questions that people submitted before, as how, when everything is so uncertain, how do you plan? This is how you plan. You have to make assumptions. So you all go ahead and type for me. As I'm reading this out to you, what are some of the things that we are assuming? Go ahead and type. We will need 97,000 in future inflation adjusted income per year. The amount of income from other sources we are counting on is 42,000, which will reduce the total required from savings. So now we're saying I need 97,000 a year. I have 42,000. So my total will be $55,302 per year that I need to earn. That's money that I'm short. I'm short that. So I'm short more than I have, right, in this scenario. Given the amount of risk that I'm willing to take with my savings, I expect to earn 4%. 4% is low risk. 6% is moderate. 6% is that M that you all pointed to. 4% would be low. Now, how do we finish this? We talked about this earlier. I will not be spending principal in retirement. Therefore, I need to have saved 1.3 million in some change so that the return will cover my expenses. We'll leave behind a estate of 1.3 million. Do you all see? Is that making sense? What this means is that I'm going to invest in a way that's going to cover the $55,000 gap. I've already got 42. My gap is 55. I'm going to earn 4%. So I have to have saved 1.375 million. Now, when people say that, you don't start drawing all of that down at once. So clearly, this couple is only going to be drawing down 97,000 a year, right? Those are the same. Those are the same, Allie. You absolutely would count Social Security as an other source, Martha, and that's the reason we had the conversation we had last week in such detail, because a lot of people are afraid. Now, what financial planners will do is they'll run your numbers with and without it, right? They'll run it with and without it, and I'm going to show you all how they do that in just a moment. Now, option B, I will be spending principal in retirement. That's Saundra's scenario. When I'm dead, I'll be dead broke. Anything I'm leaving to anybody, I'm doing it before I die. Les Brown, this motivational speaker, I love what he says about it. He says, look, if I got a quarter in my pocket as I keel over to die, I'm going to swallow it. I'm not leaving nobody nothing, right? And that's going to be me. Everything that I am giving to the people I love, I'm doing it before I die. Because I am going to spend my money, I'm going to live my life, and I'm going to enjoy what years I have left. I have worked since I was 15 years old. And when I get to retire, I am doing Saundra. So I take them on trips. I do all kinds of stuff now. But when it is time for me to be done, baby, I am going out with a blast. And I might even put on some high heel shoes. I haven't worn high heel shoes since double hip replacement. I might get me some red pumps. So, all right. So if I'm going to be, there's my breathing bell. Here we go. Let's breathe together. All right. So we will be spending principal in retirement, but I want to leave behind an estate of 200,000 and I need my money to last 30 years. Therefore, I need to have saved 1 million so that the return will cover our expenses. So I'm not worried about you all in the last part, the A and B. All I'm asking you to do while we are away from each other is to write this first part of the paragraph. You won't know all the numbers. That's okay. I want you to write your desired outcome. I want you to write your why, right? That's all I'm asking you to do, this first part of the paragraph. And I'll show you where to get all of the information that you need to be able to do that. And let me pause for questions. So coincidentally, 42 pre-inflation, now it's counting. Yes, no, I'm sorry, Allie, I don't know if I answered that. So the 42 is that income per year. Yes, Renee. And am I saying your name correctly? Unmute yourself. Yeah. Renea. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so this 97, that means that it's 97 for 1 year, 97
Yes.
for the next, whatever. So if
Exactly.
I have 15 years in retirement, that means that I have 15 times 97.
That's correct.
Okay.
That is correct. Any other questions or comments about this? I want to make sure we nail this before we go to the next slides. All right, I'm going to change what I'm sharing with you all. And Missouri is going to drop it in the chat as well. Let me move this thing around here. Hold on, bear with me. All right, we are going to look first at this little, here we go, new share portion of the screen. This is aceyourretirement.org, aceyourretirement.org. And what I love about this is it's enough high-level information.
You can't see it yet, Saundra.
Oh,
Sorry.
hold on a minute. I'm sorry. It says it's paused. How do I fix it? Resume share. Okay, how's that? Yes?
Got it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. This is aceyourretirement.org. Just takes a few minutes to do it. Now, I will say this, it's not going to give you detail. What it's going to do is help you think about where you are right now and what are some of the factors that you have to consider to create the plan that you want. Does that make sense? Okay, so this is not your forever thing. This is just high level. This is some stuff to think about. The other thing that I want you to see, this is the CFPB, Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. This is their website, and Missouri will drop the link for that. When you look at retirement income, they break down all of the stuff, not everything. It's not perfect, but it's very, very good. It talks about reverse mortgages. It talks about what to watch out for. It talks about what to do about if you have to help manage money for yourself or someone else. It's just really a good way to look at all of the factors. And what I like about this, it tells you all of the things to consider: medical debt, student loans, 3 tips to keeping your plan on track. This is the conversation that we were just having about my life. Many seniors paying a mortgage well into retirement. And that's another thing that we talked about. When financial planners say you'll need 80% of your current income, they're making some assumptions. They're assuming that you are debt-free. They're assuming that you ain't got no boomerang kids. If you have kids, they've launched and they haven't come back. They haven't multiplied and come back, right? They're not assuming that you're taking care of elder parents or other people that have special needs. They're making all kinds of assumptions. And so you all have to be honest with yourselves about what is your life, right? Plan for financial decisions as you age. What about, I don't know about y'all, but look, I used to walk into a room and forget why I walked into the room. Now I can forget while I'm on the way. I don't even wait until I get into the new room to forget. I start forgetting as I go. And so my life is just different now, right? Who's going to cut my hair when I'm 72, 73, right? The woman who cuts my hair wants to charge me $135. I don't have $135 worth of hair. I got about $16, $17 worth of hair, right? So I have to think about all of the ways that I can do better for myself because there's not anyone else looking out for me. And now I want to say this is not an ad for AARP. This is not an ad for AARP, although I am a member. It is never too early to be an AARP member. This particular website, did I give you this one too, Missouri?
I can find it and I'll add it.
Oh no, I'll give it to you right here. I'll put it in the chat right now. Here we go. And there we go. So you can also use the tools there. I'm a big fan. I really like this approach that they did. What does the calculator do? It can help you do the things that you need to do, right? There's this one. Now, here's the other thing. You may live longer than you expect. You want to make reasonable assumptions for investments. What can you expect? If you're looking at stocks, bonds, and CDs, right? What are you trying to get to? I'm going to say I'm always focused on getting 6% or better. There's another example here. Emily at age 30. I hope you younger folks are looking at this, right? I really want you to make sure that the younger you are, the more aggressive you can be. This also, it's a really good, well-written article. So I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm going to pause because I'm going to switch. Any questions about, oh, I'm sorry. And then there was one last thing. Oh no, Missouri sent you that already. Okay. So let's go back to our little handout here. Now I've got about 50 minutes left, so I need to get us through this other document that I want you to see. And this document will be sent to you. Missouri's going to provide the link, but it'll be sent to you as well. So if you're not in a place where you can go to the link now, you will be able to get it. the last thing that I want you to see here before we look at this spreadsheet, I'm asking you to get started here, right? That's the thing I just showed you. I want you to see what investing for the future looks like, right? So this is how the stock market moves. Some of you may have seen this already. Some of you have seen my Acorns account before. I'm going to show it to you again. This part will not be in your slides because this is my personal information, but I do want to share it with you.
Saundra, can you reshare? Sorry to interrupt.
Girl. Okay, sorry. Can you see it now? Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, so this is literally my personal Acorns account. The data are current as of last week, right? I have two accounts. I have one that's called Invest, and that's my aggressive one. And I have one that's later. I want you all to be able to tell me what's the difference. Now, this one is all Invest. You can see it right there. I know that it's small. I don't want you to try to worry about the words. Just look at the images. Look at the images. This first one here, let me get my pointer. This one is 1 day. So you see the market was down that day, right? This one is 1 month. Still kind of wiggly, right? Not super wiggly, but kind of steady. This is year to date from January until now. You see that? This is 1 full year, right? So this is what you've been seeing in the stock market over the last year. So do you see how these patterns could make you crazy if you were freaking out about, you see that? I see Anna shaking her head. Do you rest of you give me a sign, hit me with a thumbs up, something. Do you see why people freak out about this, right? So I don't want you to feel badly or abuse yourself about being nervous about being a low or moderate risk, right? This would cause you to be that. This would cause you to be that. Now, I'm going to ask you, all right, this one, all right, hold on. I got to get rid of my wigglies, clear all the drawing. Now, what you have at the top is 1 year return at a minus 2.38. So had I freaked out at that moment and sold everything, I would have lost money. My 5-year returns are at a 24% gain. You see that? This, the original where I started was May 2016. This was April 25th last week. It's a little lower than it was here, but not much. Not much. My line's crooked. Not much lower. Right? So I just want you to hear and see that you have to prepare yourself emotionally for what the market is going to do. The market is going to do this. The market is going to do this. This is the account that my net return is 28%. Again, this is over the lifetime. You can see the net investments of this money that you see, 20,000 came from my savings, my investment. $5,745.74 is the money that the market made for me. The market was able to make this for me because I didn't freak out every time I got scared. Doesn't mean I'm not scared, just means I'm not freaking out every time. So I choose well, and then I leave it alone. This is the later account. Notice my contributions. What do you see here? Okay, let's look here. You see here how everything is up. You see that? All the up arrows, these are all of my stocks. This is my aggressive account. Now you see here, same thing, only my bonds pulled my account down. It pulled my balance down. Now, my net investment here is 23,000. The market gave me what, 1,000? This is my later account, my retirement account. Do you see why I have to be aggressive? If I were depending on this and I'm only earning $1,000, guess who won't be getting to go to Portugal? Right? So this is what I want you to hear and see as you're beginning to make your decisions. Let me look in the chat for a minute. Do I make the decision? So Susan, we're going to do that next week. Because Patrick is a brilliant investor, and he will help you know how to do this, what's best for you. He wrote this book, and you all have access to this. You'll get this in the mail. He's giving you this book for free. He actually did this as an article for free. So he doesn't do this to make money. I've used Patrick's stuff. He teaches you all. There's more investing information in here than most of us would ever want. But he'll walk you through the main pages of it. But you can do the course. There's a course there. And there's also the book. And he's giving it to all of you for free. It's an ebook, but I really think that you'll enjoy it. But don't, if it's interesting to you, look at it in advance. If not, just wait until he's with us next week and he'll do all of that with us. Now, I have one more thing that I want to show you before I stop. Can you use someone else, or do you? Oh, you can absolutely do it yourself. You can have everything I've done myself. And Renee, this is not my strong suit. I don't even like it. I don't even like it. So I just want to be clear that you absolutely can do it yourself. And I encourage you just to make sure that you do it is the main key, right? So there's one more thing that I want to show you. This is this, oh shoot, sorry, let me stop that. This is the spreadsheet that we're sending you. This is from Vertex 42. It is a retirement calculator. Someone was asking me earlier, how do you figure these things out? So you change these numbers. Now look at this. Okay, so you see the shortfall at retirement here? There isn't a shortfall, because you know why? Because the person's 25 years old. Right? Now, okay, you ready? You watching? 62, 75. And I didn't change any other numbers. You see the difference? So when you go in to do this, you're going to put in your current age, the age that you want to retire, years to pay out. That is your life expectancy that we talked about, right? It'll calculate this for you. You're only going to fill out the white sections. Return before retirement. How much risk are you willing to take between now and retirement? Notice the return after retirement went down, because when you're in retirement, you can't afford to take the same level of risk you can when you're in your working years, right? Annual inflation, I would say put 4 here. Most financial planners say 3. I would say put 4, just play around with the numbers. Your current annual salary, how much annual increase do you get? How much of your salary are you saving? And how much is your employer matching? Remember, we talked about 3% or 6% or all that, that will go there. The max your employer will contribute. And then it'll calculate it for you. You see that? Then what do you need? You notice here, they didn't reduce it. It shows you the inflation adjustment. It shows you what it would take to fund 100% of your retirement. Now, that doesn't mean that's how much money I need today. That's not even how much money you need the day you walk out of retirement. That's why we have return before and return after. Your money's sitting there and it's continuing to earn money, right? It's continuing to bring dividends if you're in bonds. It's continuing, or stocks that pay dividends, and it's continuing to earn interest for you. Your current savings balance, cancel. Your current savings balance, the value at retirement. Right? And so it's going to do all of that. The age when your income begins. This is other retirement income. This, Martha, to your question, might be a place to put Social Security, right? And then other assets, lump sum, real estate that you might sell, all of that. And then it'll tell you years your payout will last without additional savings. But actually here I do have a shortfall, I think. I don't know why it's not negative. how much of my salary do I need to reach the goal? 167%, right? Additional annual savings that's needed. And you'll notice over here, it tells you everything about how to use this calculator. The other thing that I love about it is then it will show you year by year. So let me stop. I have 3 minutes. I got through everything this time, y'all. I'm so pleased with myself. I am so very pleased. You have no idea how hard this is. Tell me where we are now. Tell me where we are. What questions come up? What is your takeaway?
Saundra, I wanted to voice Allie's question. Are we to use the calculator that you just showed us?
I would say
do our
yes.
homework? Okay.
I would say yes. What I'll also offer is that you might find that you like the AARP one better. Feel free. The main thing is to try to get a sense of where you are. That's the main thing. Try to get a sense of where you are. Let me put this back. I think there might be one more thing I wanted to show you here. Yep. And again, you'll get this deck. So go to the retirement tools. You can either go to the retirement calculator. I do think you should also do ACE Your Retirement. And then fill out that that spreadsheet as best you can. Look, if that spreadsheet freaks you out, don't let it pull you away from focusing your attention on you. Don't let it do that. What it would mean is that we have to either identify some pro bono resources for you if you can't afford a financial planner or choose not to pay for a financial planner, or have you connect with some folks who can be with you as you walk through the spreadsheet. Both of those things are options. We work with a lot of coaches. There are a lot of coaches on my team. I'll talk to the Women's Foundation crew about it. And, you know, let's see. And maybe what we have to do is some smaller cohorts, some smaller groups that we can walk through those kinds of things together. But we're not going to leave you out on your own to do that. You know, those groups that have to be small, like maybe no more than 10 people. But if that spreadsheet freaks you out, don't be discouraged. Just try to fill out as much of it as you can. The main thing that I'm hoping that you do between now and next week is this section here, that top section there. That's really what I would like for you to do. And then take a look at the resources. I'm going to pause and stop sharing. What else do you want to hear from me? Yeah, Lysandra, the numbers can be overwhelming, and what I would like for you to consider is it's better to know than not know. And you, at the end of our time together next week, you'll have some decisions to make. You know, I mean, like I told you all, I've been very transparent with all of you that I wasn't going to have enough. So I had to figure out a way to continue working. And some of you may find yourselves in that position. You know, I don't profess to have all of the answers. I do want to help you make sure that you're asking the right questions. Self-employed, you have to create, Renea, that I've been self-employed for 30 years. And I just didn't, first I didn't know, then I just didn't do what I knew to do. And so many people are dependent upon my income. Sometimes I'm just not even sure how I'm going to do it, but I'll just work longer, you know, I'll work longer. Fortunately, I do something that I love. Yes, Susan, the numbers are big. Yes. Thank you, Martha. I'm glad. Slides will be shared. You get the slides. It will come pre-filled with those numbers, not numbers that I suggest. Those were standard in the spreadsheet, that it'll come like that. So make sure that you only mess with the white boxes, Allie, that they'll show you which things to say, and follow along. They give you pretty clear directions. All right, team, please fill out the survey. It helps me be better. It also helps the Women's Foundation know what kind of programming you all really want. Let's all breathe together one more time before we leave each other. Deep breath in. Wiggle those shoulders and let it go. Anytime you catch yourself judging, shaming, blaming, and being unkind to yourself, stop and take a breath and really honor that you are doing the best you can with where you are right now. I'll see you all next week. Thank you so much.